Big thanks to Bokksu for sponsoring this video, more on them later.
Long before my first experience playing Pokemon with Pokemon Silver, I watched the anime all I could whenever I was over at a friend's house that happened to have cable, or over at Grandma's house with cable, and even buying discounted Pokemon VHS tapes with only 3 episodes on them each. And oh gosh, the handful of episodes I had will forever be sealed in my head, simply due to how many times I rewatched them. Aside from Brock and Misty, for obvious reasons, my favorite gym leader at the time was Erika. She's just so nice and pretty. Now, I had no concept of Japan at the time. I didn't even know what an anime was. I was 5. It was barely the 21st century. Heck, I figured that all of the very obviously Japanese stuff in the show was just fantasy Pokemon world culture. So I had no idea that Erika was wearing a kimono. I just saw it as some really pretty fantasy flower dress. But no, I know better now. It's a kimono, which literally translates to thing to wear, which seems sort of non-fabulous considering how ornate and pretty they can be. But looking back, historically speaking, it was the thing to wear. Everybody wore a kimono in some form for centuries. Like today, we all wear shirts, especially t-shirts from Gnoggin.net, where you can get these super cool t-shirts and support the channel a lot too. It's great. But yeah, t-shirts, it's such a generic piece of clothing. It's shirts. Shirts includes button-ups, polos, graphic tees, blouses. Shirts are the thing to wear. And for a long time in Japan, the kimono and its subtypes were the things to wear, just as common as shirts. As far back as the year 300, we see the style start to emerge in Japan, and it wasn't until the end of the 1800s and early 1900s that Japan started officially westernizing, and dress changed along with that. But still, the kimono's influence never really left. In fact, it reintegrated various elements from itself into more Western fashion. Look at this ad from a fashion magazine in the 50s. The kimono would never truly go away though. While no longer everyday wear, it is still considered appropriate dress for more formal occasions like wedding ceremonies and funerals, to other major cultural events as well, like summer and winter festivals. It's still considered the national dress of Japan after all. It's very traditional, and at establishments that honor traditional values like fancy traditional restaurants, classical theaters, and shrines, you'll still find plenty of kimono. Which brings us back to Pokemon. The Kimono Girls are a quintet of Pokemon trainers who each have one of the eevee evolutions, the 5 that existed at the time. They work at the Ecruteak City Dance Center in Johto as geisha ladies, traditional female Japanese entertainers who are experts at the Japanese arts, singing, dancing, performing, music, serving tea, and of course, all while wearing extremely ornate kimono. Being a fully trained geisha is a lot of work and very expensive, and they are all Pokemon trainers on top of that. Granted, not great ones. Nothing like Erika, who was so great she became a Pokemon gym leader. In fact, here comes the theory. Was Erika a kimono girl who left to focus more on Pokemon training? There are plenty of details that say maybe.
Sponsor time! I kissed a box and I liked it. Mwah. Bokksu is a premium Japanese snack subscription box. Every month they send you a thematic box of authentic Japanese goodies from family businesses all over Japan. It's a great way to supplement learning the language, learning the culture, and eating good food! So savory! When you first sign up with the link in the description, they'll send you a Bokksu called Seasons of Japan, which makes an excellent introduction, and afterwards you'll receive monthly themed boxes like the one I'm trying here. That was so moist. This month's theme was Autumn Koyo, which is a word that refers to the changing colors of leaves. Oh, I love learning. And I love snacks.
Well, they got stuff in them.
Best of all, Bokksu puts a smile on anyone's face and makes the perfect gift for any foodie, traveler, or anime fan.
Cookie!
So give someone you love a fun and unique food experience and help support our channel at the same time by going to the link in the description and using the code Lockstin to get $15 off your first Bokksu Japanese snack box. Now then,
of course, we have to talk about the most obvious detail first. Erika, similarly, is never seen without a kimono, and she's had a lot of iterations. Here is her in Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, 4, 7, and multiple in Pokemon Masters. However, obviously there's more to being a geisha than looking like one, but the fact that she still wears a kimono, despite theoretically being a former kimono girl, actually is indicative of her being known as a Ojo, which literally just translates to young lady, but is a more antiquated, old-fashioned term and is used these days in anime to refer to the trope of high-class female characters that are all prim and proper and hold very traditional values and garner a lot of respect and admiration from those around them. In fact, Erika's gym leader title in the originally Japanese texts describes her as an Ojo who loves nature, and she certainly is held in high regard and respected by the other trainers around her in her gym. Though, there's nothing in the games that shows her being rich or high class in any way, but plenty of other depictions of her in the franchise say that she is. For instance, she's obviously rich in the Pokemon Adventures manga, and the Pocket Monsters manga has her as the daughter of Silphco's president. Obviously, being the daughter of a super tech company CEO would make you rich. And the good old trading card game has a card called Erika's Maids, and yeah, it shows her with her multiple maids. So if Erika is rich, then yes, her family could absolutely afford some proper geisha training. And considering she's also a practitioner and teacher of ikebana, Japanese flower arrangement, that opens the door to another trope of sorts. Yamato Nadeshiko is a somewhat complicated aesthetic and Japanese cultural concept of an ideal woman. Though Erika certainly looks the part. Average height, kind of thin, pale skin, dark hair, dresses very traditionally, and takes part in many traditional activities like geisha and ikebana. Yeah, and plus the Nadeshiko part of Yamato Nadeshiko is actually the Japanese name of the Dianthus superbus flower, which is just doubly fitting as she's the grass-type gym leader. Speaking of, her gym is an entirely women's-only gym, possibly reflecting that geisha training and being part of the all-women Kimono Girls group. But hold up! If Erika was a Kimono Girl, which evolution would she use? Leafeon is a Gen 4 Pokemon, and the Kimono Girls were originally Gen 2. Well, this just keeps getting better, ain't it? In the Pokemon Gold and Silver beta, which has many Pokemon that got cut before the final release of the game, we see what looks like a beta Leafeon. And plus, many of the beta Pokemon in this beta are also in the Red and Green beta. Perhaps Leafeon was planned for back then too, but didn't make it past its alpha stage. After all, Leafeon would complete the Eevee quartet, making it match up with the 4 versions of the game and the 4 starter Pokemon, or heck, even just the 3 starter Pokemon if you swap Jolteon with Leafeon. But also, the same place you obtain an Eevee in these games is also where you get the stones to evolve it. The Fire, Water, Thunder, and Leaf Stones! But it doesn't evolve with a Leaf Stone because Leafeon didn't exist yet! But maybe it was planned. Also consider that in any subsequent game after Gen 4, Misty, Lieutenant Surge, Sabrina, and Blaine all got their respective evolutions on their team, but not Erika. What gives? Well, I have 2 possible explanations. 1. The Eevee family are seen as the signature Pokemon of the Kimono Girls, and those who succeed in becoming a Kimono Girl are gifted an Eevee to train as their own. And or 2, that as someone who tried and failed to become a Kimono Girl, Erika simply chooses not to use Leafeon out of deep respect for the Kimono Girls. And that would be very fitting of her character. Though she does eventually use one in one of her optional outfits in Pokemon Masters. But interestingly, when she switches to use a Leafeon, she also switches her dress entirely. This is the only time we see her not in a kimono, and it's when she's using Leafeon. Instead, it's a much more Western-styled, cute and fancy dress. Perhaps this change is, again, out of respect for the Kimono Girls. She failed to become a Kimono Girl, and so she doesn't want to use their mon while wearing a kimono. Another detail, if Erika is a former Kimono Girl, she wouldn't be the only one. According to Pokemaniac Brent in a Pokegear call, Bill's mother used to be a Kimono Girl too. She probably retired, as up until more recently, geisha were not allowed to be married until they retire. But Erika is not of retirement age, so did she leave to focus on gym battling? Or did she fail at becoming a Kimono Girl? Oh, there's the clickbait, ain't it? Now, a big part of Erika's character I haven't talked about yet is her narcolepsy. Yeah, she has narcolepsy. It's a condition that makes you very, very drowsy all day, and you can even sometimes just spontaneously fall asleep, like she does, in the middle of conversations. Yeah, that would absolutely get you kicked out of geisha training. It's too intense for that kind of level of drowsiness. The last thing you want is one of your Kimono Girls falling asleep onto a customer while dancing. Oh no, it corrupted.